We see them every single day. These massive bridges, towering tanks, pipelines that stretch for miles. But have you ever really stopped to think about what's protecting them? What's standing between these vital structures and the relentless forces of nature? Well, the answer isn't quite as simple as you might think.
Your first thought is probably the steel itself, right? The sheer strength of it. But here's the thing, even the strongest materials have a critical vulnerability. They're in a constant, silent battle with their environment.
And this is their primary defense, a highly engineered layer of industrial coating. It's an incredibly thin, almost invisible shield that stops corrosion in its tracks, extends the life of the asset, and, most importantly, keeps us all safe. So, if this coating is our hero, what's its greatest enemy? I mean, is it extreme weather, maybe chemical exposure, or just good old-fashioned physical damage? What do you think? The answer? Well, it's probably not what you're expecting. Often, the biggest threat isn't a physical force at all. It's a breakdown in human communication, a simple misunderstanding that can lead to a compromised coating, and eventually, total failure. And that brings us to the central figure in our story, the coating inspector. But we kind of need to redefine their role. They aren't just a technician with a bunch of gadgets, they are the communication hub for the entire project. Okay, so on paper, their job is to make sure those protective coatings are applied exactly as they should be. It's a quality assurance role, really. They're there to make sure the project's blueprint, the specification, is followed to the letter. This is what guarantees the coating can actually do its job and stop corrosion. And this just shatters a common myth about the job. An inspector is not some lone wolf working in isolation. No way. They're constantly talking to everyone, the asset owner, the engineers, the application crew. Their success and the project's success really hinges on their ability to build positive, professional relationships. You see, their communication duties aren't random. They're very structured. They fall neatly into 3 critical phases that mirror the project's own life cycle: before the work starts, during the work, and after it's all done. So let's break each one down. First up, let's talk about the work that happens before a single drop of coating is even applied. This proactive phase is all about setting the entire project up for success from the get-go. It all kicks off with one absolutely crucial meeting, the pre-job conference. This is the inspector's golden opportunity to clarify roles, ask tough questions, and iron out any confusing parts of the plan before they become huge, expensive problems out in the field. And they don't just show up and wing it. A great inspector prepares for this like it's mission critical. They'll push for the meeting if one isn't on the books. They'll pore over every single document, every data sheet, and build a list of questions. And if they can, they'll walk the site beforehand. This prep work turns a simple meeting into a powerful conflict prevention session. Okay, so now let's jump into the during phase. This is where the action is. The work is happening, deadlines are tight, and clear communication gets put to the ultimate test. To navigate all that pressure, inspectors often rely on a framework like the 7 C's. Think of it as a mental checklist they run through for every email, report, or even just a quick chat. The goal is super simple. Make sure the information you send is easily and accurately understood by the person on the other end. Here's a perfect real-world example of what happens when just one of those C's, completeness, is missing. So Eleni tells Mark they're bringing on another inspector, but she leaves out the why. She doesn't mention they're behind schedule and adding staff to all the teams. So what does Mark do? He fills in that blank himself and assumes she doesn't trust his work. Boom, instant friction. Clear communication goes way beyond just the words you choose. An inspector's tone of voice, their body language, these nonverbal cues can sometimes speak way louder than a written report. I mean, saying great job with your arms crossed and a scowl on your face sends a completely different message, right? Being mindful of that is absolutely key to keeping the team working together smoothly. All right, finally, let's talk about the after phase. But really, the work for this phase begins the moment the project starts. This is all about documentation, creating a permanent, objective, and legally sound record of the project. And these reports are so much more than just daily logs. They're basically legal documents. They have to be incredibly detailed and totally impartial because years from now, they might be the single piece of evidence that resolves a dispute or explains a failure. So what makes a report totally defensible? It's all about the details. Who did the test? When? Where on the structure was it? What tool did they use? And was that tool properly calibrated? And crucially, what was the official standard for passing or failing? If you leave any of that out, you've created a weak link in the historical record. Now, the tools for this job have definitely evolved. Sure, traditional paper forms are still out there, but a lot of inspectors now use digital tools on tablets. This kind of software can do amazing things, like automatically tag photos with GPS data, link directly to calibration records, and make reporting faster and way more accurate, right there from the field. There's also a really important quality control step built right into the process, especially for newer inspectors. A supervisor has to review every single report before it goes to the client. This is all about ensuring accuracy, maintaining objectivity, and upholding the integrity of the entire inspection process. So, after all of this, if you were to look inside an inspector's toolkit, you'd find all sorts of gauges, meters, and testing equipment. But you know what? None of those are the most important tool they have. Not even close. The most important tool is their ability to communicate. That's the skill that allows them to build relationships, create clarity before the work even starts, and produce an accurate, undeniable record of exactly what happened. It is the absolute keystone of a quality inspection. Which brings us right back to our original question. We know these incredible engineered coatings protect our most critical infrastructure. But what is it that protects the coatings themselves? What ensures they're applied correctly so they can do their job? It's clear, consistent, and complete communication. That is the final, unseen shield that guarantees the integrity of everything else.